Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to my channel. Now, today is gonna be pretty much, I'm just gonna be doing cleanup day, right? I'm going through a bunch of my son's old vintage action figures. Now, as you can see, right? Look at this. I think this from the early 90s, right? Showbiz, Green Goblin. I'm gonna just be going through a lot of these because I'm trying to organize and just see what I'm gonna do with all these toys, right? He's obviously doesn't use them anymore, but still, nonetheless, they hold a lot of memories. Some of them may actually even got broke, right? Like, look at this one. But I thought, while I'm doing this, why not make a video and talk about what I believe the main message in the Bible itself is, right? And I was pondering about this a few days ago, right? That's why I didn't post, because I was just really thinking about it. Like, what would the main uh, what would be the main theme, right? Or what was the main uh, like, I guess you could say, concept of what God was trying to tell us when we were going through the Bible, right? And I started telling myself, I'm like, I think the main message overall is actually love, right? So when you hear John 3:16, right? Mind you, that book right there, John, is my favorite book from all the gospels, right? It really gets down to the meat and potatoes of what Christ's divine being really is, right? And it says in John 3:16, for God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son, that whomsoever believeth in him shall not perish, but shall receive eternal life, right? Or shall have eternal life. So as you can see in that verse alone, right, it's telling you, what is it saying? What is it emphasizing? Love, right? God's love for mankind, and how he wanted pretty much to save us, right? Or because we're gonna be doomed, right? That's why we call Christ our Savior, because He's the one that brought us back and reunited us with the Godhead. Now, as we go on further, we hear another. I think it's Matthew, the book of Matthew, the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 22nd. I think it's like verse 36 through 40, where you have a young gentleman, right, and he comes up to Jesus and he tells him like, oh, what, teacher, what is the greatest commandment of all, right? And then you know how Jesus responds to him, right? He tells him, uh, love the Lord your God, right? With all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your mind. And he says the second one is likewise, right? He's like, love your neighbor as you love yourself. And he goes on to say, for the law and the prophets, for these hang on, right? The law and the prophets hang on these two commandments. So as you can see, he's pretty much telling you, like I said again, it's about love. It's about, he didn't say fear God. He didn't say or obey God or this, right? He's saying love the Lord thy God, right? And your neighbor as yourself. And a lot of the things, that's what pretty much it comes down to, right? Because if you love God, you're not gonna be not following his word, or you're not gonna be doing idol worship, right, or things like that. And the same thing with your neighbor. If you love your neighbor, you're not gonna be taking his girl, right? You're not gonna be taking his girl. You're not gonna be taking his possessions or anything like that. You're gonna be pretty much, like it says, anything that you wouldn't want done upon you, then you wouldn't want it. You wouldn't want to do it upon others, right? Check out this abomination right here, right? And actually, who he goes on and he even, I think Paul, I think it's in First Corinthians, right? He goes on and he says the same thing, where he's pretty much saying like, look, he's like, if I could prophesy, if I could do all these things, if my faith, right, by faith I could move mountains, and he's like, I could speak the tongue of angels and whatnot, right? But he's like, at the end, he's like, if I don't have love, then he's like, then I don't have anything, right? Look at this, Hulk Buster, right? And that's what I started thinking, wow, like, it's that simple, right? It's just a message about love. It's the greatest love story. And I'm sure we've all heard of this before, right? Where we hear this over and over again, where it's like, oh, the greatest love story. But once you break it down like that, especially with some of the Bible references that I gave you guys, sometimes we overcomplicate things, right? We make it more than what it is. Like how what's his name? Solomon, right? Check this one out. Apocalypse, right? from the showbiz, I believe. It's from the 90s, you could tell, right? Like how Solomon did it, where he just went, uh, he went above and beyond, right? Trying to see what is the meaning of life, right? And what is all this about? And in the end, his great conclusion was fear God, and keep his commandments. Which I say, love God, right? And keep his commandments. Because at the end of the day, fear will only take you so far. Fear will only, there's sometimes people will do things, sure, out of fear. But love is different. With love, it's not because you're being forced to or anything like that. You genuinely want to just do better, do right by people. And that's what I think is missing with look at this one right here. This one I believe is from Zeal. That's what's missing in the world now today, right? I was telling my lady about this earlier, and look at this one's missing a hand, but that's cable. And I was telling my lady that earlier. I'm like, I don't want to because sometimes I'm like, sure, you can know a lot of things, you could do a lot of good deeds, but it's just something that is like, I don't want to just be. I was questioning myself, right? I'm like, what am I doing? Where it's like, Saber-tooth, right? I'm like, do I have love? Do I have love in me? Because sure, I could know a bunch of things. I could, say a bunch of fancy things and whatnot. But at the end of the day, I'm like, do I really have love for individuals, for everybody? Not just Christians or anything like that, but just people in general, right? And I told my lady about this, how I was pondering this, right? Because I'm always wondering and pondering things, right? And I even told her, I'm like, actually, I do. I'm like, I do, because I'm like, if I didn't, I'm like for example, I would have quit on my YouTube a long time ago, right? Like, for those of you that have been following me for a while, I've been doing, I was doing other videos, right? And pretty much it ended up, I ended up giving up on that dream, right? Though that type of content. And I ended up just following God and trying to do other videos, right? Like these ones that I'm doing right now. And obviously, I was only making 200 back then. Now it just dropped. Like, I'm not making anything off these videos, right? Well, probably it's like a few dollars, right? But YouTube pays you out by the 100. So in order to get paid, you have to make 100, which I don't even break the 100 mark anymore, right? So, but then that's when I told my lady, I'm like, I do, because I'm like, the only thing that really motivates me to keep doing these videos, I'm like, it's you guys. Check out the Human Torch, right? He's missing a leg. A lot of the good ones, they already pretty much are broken and stuff like that, unfortunately. But yeah, I told my lady, I'm like, I do, because I'm like, I would have stopped doing these videos a long time ago. Like, I feel like, oh, I'm not gaining anything from it or anything. But then I'm like, no, because I'm like, I could help people, even if it's just one person. Look at Tarzan. Even if it's just one person, right, that's listening, and maybe they could get something out of these videos, then that's well worth it, right? Because it gets discouraging, guys. Let me tell you, Moon Knight, but he's missing like the cape, which I'm sure is somewhere in there, right? But it gets discouraging a lot of times, guys. Don't get me wrong. Like, sometimes it's just like, man, like, is anybody even listening, or are my views getting lower or stuff like that? But like I said, there's always gonna be people that, the thing that comes to mind is with Ezekiel, right? When God told Ezekiel, like, oh, I'm sending you to a rebellious people, right? That they don't listen, right? But he's like, he says, I'm sending you to a rebellious and stubborn people, right? Who don't listen. Check it out. This is another apocalypse. He's like, to a rebellious people, a stubborn people who don't listen, right? It's another one. Mr. Fantastic, I believe, but he's missing an arm. So he says, I'm sending you to a stubborn people, right? And stuff like that. But he's like, I will make you just as stubborn as they are, right? So that's what I repeat myself too sometimes, right? When I feel like giving up, I tell myself, like, oh, I'm going to make you as stubborn as they are. And like that, it comforts me and it gives me strength to not give up, but to keep going, right? Check this one out. Ghost Rider, one of my favorites. I actually have the bike that comes along with it, right? It's super sick. I'm telling you, I used to with my son, I used to like buy him so many, bro. Like I used to get him all the action figures. We would go to the swap meets, or just I would buy them online. I was just always getting them a bunch of action figures, right? Quicksilver. So sometimes I like to go through these because it just kind of brings back those memories. I wonder if this one still works. No, it doesn't really work. Back then it used to talk, but that's Ultron. Yeah, I like going through these things sometimes because it just brings back memories. I think this one's from, I don't know what this is from. I don't know if it's Galaxy. I think it's from Galaxy, from I think the old school Power Rangers. Or I don't know. But I know it's Power Rangers for sure, but I just can't remember which one. Yeah, I like going through these things, right? Because then it just brings back memories of when we would be together, and I would get him a lot of stuff. All this is his. Like you can see in the background, all that is his. But obviously, it was heavily inspired by my taste, right? With like Dragon Ball Z, or like all the old school cartoons. Waking up at six in the morning, right? Saturday mornings, getting your bowl of cereal in the 90s, and just watching cartoons. Me and my brother used to do that, right? We would wake up like literally like at 6 in the morning, staying watching cartoons from like 6 to like 10, non-stop. Just it would be like 30-minute episode, then another show, then another, and we just go on. And then until 10 is when it started kind of getting dried out, and then we would go out and play, right? Check this one out. The Red Hulk, right? This one we've had for years, right? But I know the movie just came out with Captain America and all that, and obviously it got bad reviews, right? People weren't too fond of that movie. It's another Power Ranger right here. What do you think about it? I told my son, I'm like, I don't know what you would want to do with these ones, with these action figures, right? Like, if you would want to sell them, or if you would want to just keep them, because he's getting up there, right? He's getting bigger, Cyclops. And I told him, like, I mean, for your kids, maybe. Look at this. Buzz Lightyear. Football, right? It's hard. I remember actually I got a Buzz Lightyear Buzz Lightyear toy, you know, like those toys when they first came out. Yeah, I got one of those for Christmas. Look at I believe this is Aquaman. And I got one of those, and I remember I woke up with it, and it was like my mom had put it in the middle of the night on top of me. So it was like, you know, that Buzz that used to come in that old school, like it was like a spaceship type of box, and I woke up and I just like saw everything. I liked it a lot. And now this was like some type of light where, like, if you connected and put batteries, this part would light up, the web, it would like turn on. So it's gonna be a long mission, right? Bear with me, but it's interesting, like, nonetheless. Like, this is all, I like it. Like, this is interesting to me, because like I said, look at this one. They still work. A lot of them still work. It has a rocket. Yeah. Like, all these toys that I'm going through, they're literally just like the top of the top. And I'm already gonna have to pause the video, right? I wish I could have showed you guys a lot more, but I hope you guys understand what I'm trying to convey in the video, right? What I was talking about, how the main theme that I get, at least from the Bible, right, is a message of love. Because at the end of the day, you know, everything's gonna just disappear. All that stuff, right? All these fancy cars, or nice homes, or good jobs, or vacations, all this stuff, all of that is gonna go away, right? When you're said and done, and I know, because I've been in situations where it's like, you know, it's life or death, and you're not thinking about nothing besides, you know, like, man, like my family, and, you know, where am I gonna go from here, right? And that's why if you have love for God, you don't have to worry about that. You don't have to worry about, oh, what is gonna happen here or what is gonna happen with me afterwards, right? You know, like God's got your back. You know that you put your faith in Him and that you will not be disappointed. But yeah, guys, like I really want to show you guys every single one of them because, like I said, I'm like, there's so many cool ones, but the video's already getting like long. So I don't even know. This one used to talk. You see, there's the Hulkbuster. Check this one out right now. You see that? That's old school Galactus right there. Now I told my son, I'm like, I'm pretty sure eventually, like, you will be able to make money off of these, right? Like, there's no way you wouldn't if you would sell them, because you know people like. Like, look at how big that one is. That's Venom. So as you can see, right, my son had a blast in his childhood. He had a lot of stuff. But I don't wanna say like his legs extend and stuff. You can make them smaller too. This is my favorite one that he used to have, but it broke. This is like from the 2005 Daredevil. But it broke. It broke in half. Maybe one day we could fix it, right? Yeah, it's just a bunch of stuff right here, like the Green Power Ranger. Just a lot, bro. Like they just keep coming and coming. And he has the accessories too, like Stormbreaker. Just a lot. This is one of my favorites too that he had. Right here. Punisher. That was hard. And the one that started all of it, right? This is, I think, the toy that started all of it from collecting. I think he got this one from his birthday. From his birthday. 1 year. And ever since then, we just started collecting for him, right? And trust me, this is literally not even, I'm looking at like 2 more big bags, right? Of like that I still need to look through, right? But anyways, guys, I hope you guys were entertained somewhat by this video. But other than that, I'm out. Peace.